All right, so I checked Twitter this morning and literally everybody is gushing over Toon Spike. So I decided to pick it up, and today we're going to talk about whether I think you should spend your gems on it or not. All right, let's get into it. All right, so as usual, we're going to kick things off with the appearance of the skin, and I want to say this right at the top. The style of this goes hard. It is like obviously very inspired by like early 2000s cartoon, and specifically it reminds me of like the Powerpuff Girls. I don't know if that was the exact art style they were going for, but that is definitely the one it reminds me the most of. Next up, I want to point out that this skin actually has a different frame rate than everything else in the entire game. When I'm spinning it around like this, instead of it moving real smoothly, it moves very blocky, almost in like 1/16 segments or something like that. So that's definitely doubling down on the fact that it is in fact a cartoon skin, because cartoons have a different frame rate than say something like a movie or something like that. All right, so next up, let's talk about the actual appearance of the skin itself. And the first thing that I want to point out is the fact that he has a big white stroke all the way around the outside of Spike. And I think this looks really good, especially when you consider the way that like it clashes with like the green of his body and how round it is. It just looks really nice in my opinion. And I really like that they kept this in the game instead of like, you know, him not having it. It would have looked really weird if he didn't have that stroke. And then overall, I'm just a big fan of how cartoonsy everything looks, from his hair to his eyes to the spike ball he's holding, even to his clothes and his shoes. I think all of that just looks really good. And the only thing I can really nitpick, and it's really a small nitpick because it doesn't matter when you're actually in the game, is just the way the vest looks on the back when you spin him around. That's something you're only going to see in the lobby, but I'm just not a big fan of the way it looks overall. I don't know what it is, but it's just like a big pink strip all the way across his back. It just looks kind of weird when you look at it like that. But like I said, in game, you're never going to see that. I know this has probably been one of my weaker breakdowns of a skin, but there's really not a lot to say here other than the fact that all they did was take Spike and make him a cartoon. And obviously they nailed it. This skin looks great. The saturation's good. The clash between the green and the pink looks really good. And then on top of that, they kept the stroke going all the way around him, which adds more contrast to the skin. It draws your eye a little bit more, and it just looks really good. Everything about this skin just looks good. It's super simple, but they nailed it. All right, now it's time for winning and losing animations. So for his winning animation, Spike explodes up out of the ground. He does a couple kicks, a couple punches. It adds a little bit of cloud effects to the edges where he is kicking or punching, and then he just stands there with his cactus, menacingly. And now for Spike's losing animation, he literally just stands over, sadly staring at his cactus. And like, what? Like, it's super cute and everything, but it kind of just leaves me wanting a little bit more. It's not a very fun animation in my opinion. Overall, these animations are okay. I like the winning animation. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of style added to it, so I'm a fan of that one. But the losing animation leaves a lot to be desired. It's cute and everything, but I just don't think they added a lot to the skin with it. It feels like it was a little bit phoned in my opinion. They could have done something like make the spike ball explode or make him drop it and it roll away or something like that. Instead, he literally just stands there staring at the ground at it, and like it doesn't even do anything to build up to that point. So not a big fan of that overall. All right, next up is going to be the special effects on this skin, and this is a legendary skin, so there's going to be a lot of effects to go over here. All right, first things first, going to be sound effects, and this skin, since it's legendary, actually has sound effect changes, but not to voice lines because Spike obviously doesn't have any voice lines. No, they actually change the sound effects on your attacks and your super for this skin. So for your main attack, it's going to sound like birds or like bullets like coming from a cartoon, so that's pretty cool. And for your super, when you toss it out, it's going to have a throwing sound added to it, and when it lands, it's going to sound like a bunch of springs exploding everywhere. All right, moving on to the next effect, and it's not really an effect, but I just want to point out how good the walking animation looks for this skin, because like it's almost like he's floating across the map instead of actually walking, and I really like the way it looks. Maybe I'm wrong, let me know what you think about it, but I just like the way the walking effect looks. All right, moving on to the main attack. Now, obviously, Spike's going to throw out the cactus that he was holding in the lobby screen, and I really like the way this looks. I really like the way the cactus looks when it's spinning, and then when it explodes, the high contrast on the spikes look really good, and then I really like the touch that they added where the flower falls onto the ground. Overall, it's just very pleasing, and I like the way the main attack looks. All right, moving on to the super, and this might be my favorite part of the entire skin. You throw out the bulb, and it looks really good on its own, but then it explodes, and it leaves this swirly area on the ground, and that looks really good. And then the spikes come out, and they have like contrasting colors on their own, and those are cool, and they also have a swirly effect, and then the whole thing is just like super mesmerizing, and I really like the way it looks, and I'm a big fan of it. So yeah, my favorite part of the whole skin, easy. And the final thing that all legendary skins get is a death effect, and the death effect for Toon Spike is going to be literally just an action bubble popping up yelling ah, making it seem like the enemy you killed is screaming as they die. It's kind of funny, but it's not like the best death effect that there is out there, so overall it's just okay. I'm not going to say it's amazing, but it's pretty good. All right, so what do I think about this skin? Is it the best Spike skin? Is it worth 299 gems? Let's talk about that right now. So there's a lot I really like about this skin. First off, like I've said many times, I think the art style is crazy and it looks really good. They went really hard with the art style specifically, and I'm a big fan of the art overall. Next up, the effects are pretty solid overall. The main attack looks really good. The walking animation is one of my favorite things about this skin. The super, obviously, I love that. I glazed that up pretty much. And even the sound effects are really good. The only thing I wasn't like the biggest fan of was the death effect, but it works really well for this skin, so it's not a big deal overall there. And then I will say the animations are a little lackluster. I think the winning animation is perfectly fine. I think that's a lot of fun, and I'm a big fan of that. But the losing animation is so basic and boring. It's like they phone that in so hard, and everybody can tell. Now, obviously, you guys don't lose games, so you're never going to see that animation. But I lose games all the time, so I'm going to have to stare at that every time, and I'm just not a big fan of that overall. Now, obviously, like I said, this is a legendary skin, and it's going to run you 299 gems. But the nice thing about that is you also get the entire custom pin package with that, and you get a profile picture, and you get a spray. So there is a lot of value right there tied in with that. So obviously, if you spend money on the game, absolutely get this skin. It definitely checks all the boxes. It looks great. It's probably Spike's best skin now, and I definitely recommend getting it because honestly, I'm probably not going to switch off of it anytime soon. I might go back to Pyro Spike once in a while because that Spike skin is very nice, but also Toon Spike is it's just amazing. So like, but I have a hard time saying that free-to-play players should spend 300 gems on this skin. Obviously, it checks all the boxes. It's a very good skin. I really like it a lot. I recommend it play-to-play players get it, but it's hard for me to say that free-to-play players shouldn't spend their gems on progression because yes, you can't buy the Brawl Pass anymore, but gem offers for stuff like coins, power points, and even hypercharges pop up in the shop all the time, so you should probably be spending your gems there. But I also understand that progression is temporary, drip is forever, so if you do want to get this skin, it definitely checks all the boxes. It looks amazing. I do recommend that, you know, whales get it, so I can't say you shouldn't get it just because you're free to play. That's definitely like not the intention of gems anymore because, you know, you don't have to save up for the Brawl Pass anymore. You're more than welcome to spend your gems on cosmetics as well. You can join the rest of us here. So I will say, if you're free to play and you do not care about progression with your gems, if you really only care about aesthetics, you get an entire pin pack with this skin. You get a spray, you get a profile picture. The skin looks amazing. And as long as like you're okay with just skipping out on hypercharges and progression, then yes, pick up this skin. It's a lot and you're gonna have to grind for it, but I would definitely say it. But there you have it. I'm a big fan of the skin. I'm really happy I picked it up. And if you're pay to play and you like the skin, I definitely recommend getting it. Like I said, you get a lot of stuff with it and it looks really good. And if you're free to play and you don't mind grinding for the gems and you don't mind skipping out on the progression, then yes, absolutely go for it. This skin is amazing and I really like it. Let me know what you think about this skin down in the comments. Let me know what you think about the video. If you enjoyed it, maybe we'll do another skin review in the future for whatever else comes up next. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank you guys for watching and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.